It's early December in the guard quarters at the Tomb of the Unknown Soldiers in Arlington National Cemetery. Specialist Justin Bickett is just moments away from his next hour of guard duty at the tomb on the plaza outside. In the summer, guards wear the Army dress blue blouse, but in the cold months they wear dress outer coats. Whatever the season, it takes two to finish dressing for duty.
It's extremely minute details when we're putting our medals and awards and things like that on our uniform. Reason being is, to the human eye, we never want anyone to look at us and say, well, that's not right. Whenever we have a guard change, we all want to look the same.
By the way,
Specialist Bickett is a member of the 3rd Relief of Tomb Guards. All its soldiers must be between 5 feet 10 inches and 6 feet tall. The 2nd Relief has to be 6 feet to 6 feet 2, and the 1st Relief 6'2" and over.
I am Specialist Steiner of the 3rd Infantry Regiment, United States Army, Guard of Honor, Tomb of the Unknown Soldier.
This time of year, the guard is changed hourly while the cemetery is open. In the spring and summer, the change is every half hour.
The unknowns, nobody knows who they are, and they don't have anybody, they don't have a family that can say, that's my son or my father. And we're the unknown's family, and we're here to remember them every day, to make sure that they're not forgotten, and that their memory isn't forgotten, regardless of who they are.
It just makes me proud to be able to stand here and say, hey, I'm a guard at the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier. But it's not so much about me, it's about those unknowns. They paid the ultimate sacrifice. They not only gave their lives, but they gave their identities.
The tomb was built in 1921 for an unknown World War I soldier who was originally buried in France. In the beginning, a part-time civilian guard watched over the tomb. People in the early days would sometimes use the crypt as a place to picnic, and a military guard was ordered to begin standing watch in 1925. That became a 24-hour duty in 1937. The old guard took over the duty when reactivated and assigned to Washington in 1948, and has been responsible for supplying guards ever since. Unknown soldiers from World War II and Korea were buried on the plaza in 1958. A Vietnam unknown was buried in 1984. The remains were later identified, and Air Force pilot Michael Blassie was reburied in St. Louis in 1998. Whatever the era, it's been a duty of prestige and discipline from the beginning. Richard Azzaro guarded the tomb from 1963 to 1965.
You wanted to be the best. You want to be a part of the best. You wanted to earn the right to be able to stand there and say, I'm a tomb guard and I'm not just there.
Mr. Azzaro went on to become a lawyer after his Army service, working mostly in government. The flag in his office flew over the tomb on his last day of duty. He believes his time as a sentinel is the basis for his later success.
It's kind of simple, but it's certainly permeated everything I've ever done. Everything. I'm very much a product of what the old guard is, and the best of what we are as those people taught me. And I unabashedly say, both from the living and the dead, taught me a lot.
And he still fervently believes in the mission of guarding the tomb.
We can never, ever fail these people that went down serving their country and their families.
All visitors must exit the cemetery at this time.
The guys today have it. They have, and we feel good about, the older guys feel good about that because we know that the mission's in good hands. It will never die. And that they understand we can never fail.
Hope!
At the end of the day, there's one last hour of guard duty in dress uniform. But after the cemetery closes, the day's work is far from over. The uniform is now BDU's, but someone is still assigned to guard duty through the night. He's required to stay inside the chains on the plaza, but he can talk or stand in one spot or practice or train. Trainees spend hours out here in the dead of night learning to master the precise routine.
I volunteered to come down here, and it was like, wow, I really didn't know what you were getting yourself into when you started the training cycle, and you just go with it from there, take it one day at a time.
Trainees are carefully monitored outside and from inside the quarters.
You got a brand new soldier in the past 8 months. He's had to learn how to do regular Army manual, how to do old guard marching manual, and then come down here and learn something completely different as well. It's hard to break new soldiers into what we're doing, and it's just a lot of repetitive training.
Why can't you do that outside?
We see the things that go right, the things that go wrong, the things that we need to work on.
You have to put this number up.
Need to work on some of his weapons manual versus, okay, his walk's all right. We don't need to worry about so much about his walk because he's doing fine there.
Trainees must also learn a vanishing art, old-fashioned spit shining of their service shoes. The shoes have to be broken down and built back up, almost like a soldier in training.
You take the automotive grit sandpaper and you sand the shoe down completely until it's like a grayish white color. Then we use a dye called leather dye the shoe back black. Then we start our shining process after lots of automotive sandpaper, and a couple of weeks later you finally get something that's looking good.
The uniform itself is custom fitted for each soldier.
We use a glue called Stitch Witch and a hot press, and we melt certain parts of the uniform back down. They're held together by this glue. We sew everything ourselves. We get a custom fit to where it looks good to us, what looks good outside.
Even items like the bayonet scabbard have to be remade.
When we first get it issued, it looks like this. It comes in this OD green, the paint as well as a very rough metal. We take the scabbard, the metal part, the body, and the paint and the tip apart, paint the body as well as this leather piece. This is actually made of leather.
It was presented to commemorate the 3rd Infantry's part in the Mexican campaign, especially for it, and especially for
Trainees have to rehearse all aspects of the duty repeatedly, often in front of mirrors. This is the weapon inspection conducted in summertime. It's pared down in the colder months. They must also learn 17 pages of written information, details of military life, old guard and tomb history, locations of 90 different graves within Arlington National Cemetery. For their final exam, they have to write out those 17 pages word for word from memory and find specific gravestones and take rubbings in the dark. If they pass, they're awarded the Sentinel Badge. Since the Sentinel Badge was first awarded in 1958, just over 350 have been issued. The names of each Sentinel is recorded by number on the wall in the guard quarters. A soldier who earns it is entitled to wear it for the rest of his military career. The badge can also be revoked if he gets into serious trouble, even after leaving the service.
We're normal people, and we just hold ourselves to a higher standard. And whether it's being a better citizen or just doing a job that a lot of people don't think that they can do.
Patriotism is not an abstract for them. Honor is not an abstract. It's very real.
But whenever I actually look out into the crowd and see a veteran, it runs through my mind of where he was, what war he was in, what did he do in his time of service. Did he know my grandfather, my relatives that were in the military and things like that. And that all makes it a lot more honorable for me to be out there.
Guard duty is conducted on a so-called fireman schedule, a 9-day cycle with 24 hours on duty on the 1st, 3rd, and 5th days, and then 4 days off. The schedule permits the 3 reliefs to cover 365 days and maintain their focus every duty day.
If it gets to the point in time when you start walking the mat and you get posted outside, and you start to just drift off and you say, look at that girl, look how cute she is in the crowd, and things like that, and you start to drift away from the actual mission, then I think that's when you actually have to step back and think about what you're doing and why you're there.
I want to make sure that nobody crosses the chains and rails. I want to make sure nobody is there to disgrace the team, first of all. And then I want to make the first impression a lasting impression, so that way when they come here, all they can leave with is, wow, they really are perfect.
One line of the Tomb Guard's creed says, never will I falter. Day in and day out, they provide ongoing examples of the Old Guard's quest for perfection, particularly in the honor and recognition given those who've made the ultimate sacrifice. I'm Master Sergeant Daniela Marcus, and this has been Recon.